The moment my sister's wedding guests laughed when my name wasn't even on the seating chart, I knew I was invisible to them. Hi, I'm Natalie Carter, a music teacher who's spent years pouring her heart into students no one else believed in. But what happened next? A single video changed everything and quietly shattered the perfect image my sister tried to claim for herself. You won't believe how a viral hit turned the tables on my family's silence. Before we dive into the story, if you're enjoying these meaningful stories, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on more. Now, let's start the story together. I should have known. The moment I reached the seating chart and saw no Natalie Carter listed, just a scribbled guest next to table 9, tucked in the far corner by the restrooms, I felt something twist inside me. I smoothed down my dress, tugged once at the side seam. It was supposed to be a celebration. Still, the air smelled more like lavender sachets and politeness than family. The vineyard was everything Rachel would have dreamed of. Reclaimed wood signs, pastel florals spilling from wine crates, soft jazz humming from hidden speakers. I lingered at the edge of the crowd, hoping, maybe, someone might notice. They didn't. When I finally reached my seat, a small wedding favor waited. A silver photo frame with no photo, no name, just plastic where a face should have been. The couple next to me, friends of Rachel's fiancé, smiled politely, then turned away the moment I mentioned I taught middle school orchestra. One of them asked if I was part of the catering team. I laughed softly, said number, then pretended my wine needed topping off and slipped away. Mom spotted me as I tried to fade into a corner. She looked perfect, of course. Pale pink dress, pearls, heels that never touch grass. "Natalie," she beamed, brushing a non-existent crumb from my shoulder. "You found your seat all right. They said there were extras." "Yeah," I said, "by the restrooms." She didn't blink. Well, Rachel had to juggle so many guests. The important thing is you're here. Then came the toasts. Rachel's voice rang out across the tent. She stood beneath the string lights like she belonged on a magazine cover. "To my mentors," she said, "to the family who taught me to dream big, and to my partner, Jason, you're my rock." People clapped. I raised my glass quietly, waiting for something, anything. Maybe a mention of the youth project I helped her build 4 years ago, the one she spun into a bullet point on her resume. It never came. Then Mom took the mic. She smiled that polished pageant smile. "We're so proud of Rachel," she said. "She's changing the world, one app at a time. And Natalie, well, she's making music, one student at a time." Laughter, light, sweet, harmless like tinsel. Except I was the one being hung up like decoration. I smiled, held it, clenched the stem of my glass until I felt the ache in my knuckles. No one looked at me. No one saw what it cost to be invisible in plain sight. When the dancing started, I slipped outside, heels crunching against gravel. I leaned against a parked sedan, cold air brushing my shoulders, trying to breathe through it without breaking. That's when my phone buzzed. A name lit up. Jordan Vega. The message was short. "Are you free to talk? It's about something big." The email came just after 8. I didn't need to open it. "We regret to inform you" was practically printed into my bones by now. Still, I clicked. There it was. Rejection number 7 this year. The Ridgefield Cultural Grant. The one I'd spent 3 months on, scripting outcomes, collecting testimonials, filming rehearsals with my kids, even when the air conditioner in the school gym wheezed out on 90-degree days. I sat in the dim of my apartment, the only light coming from the kitchen where the fridge hummed beside a wall of thank you cards. Best class ever. You believed in me. One card had glitter glue that still flaked off when I brushed past. I stared at them for a moment, then turned back to the laptop. There wasn't anything wrong with the proposal. I knew that. It was solid, tight. But that didn't matter, did it? Without thinking too much, I grabbed my phone and texted Tara. "Hey, got the rejection. Totally okay if you can't say anything, but if there's any insight..." I added a heart, then deleted it, then hit send. Tara called 5 minutes later. I could hear traffic in the background. She didn't start with hello. "Natalie," she said, "this is off record, okay?" "Okay?" She hesitated. "You didn't lose on merit." My throat tightened. "What do you mean?" There was a recommendation, an internal push, for the funds to go to Rachel's nonprofit instead, said her program had more scalability, more structure. A silence bloomed between us. Tara lowered her voice. "Your dad flagged your proposal, said it was too emotional, risky." I laughed, but it came out crooked. "Of course he did." "I'm sorry," she whispered. I thanked her and hung up. I didn't cry. Not really. I just sat there. The walls felt closer than they had that morning. The stack of papers on the coffee table, the original grant draft, budgets, photos, suddenly looked childish, like construction paper and finger paint pretending to be something grown up. I thought about that afternoon when Rachel dropped by rehearsal at my school. She wore her startup badge on a lanyard and asked the students to smile while she posed beside them. She'd never stayed past the first song, and yet she got the grant. My dad made sure of it. I closed my laptop slowly, as if the motion alone could keep my thoughts from unraveling. On the counter, my violin case sat unopened. I hadn't played in weeks, maybe longer. I leaned back, stared at the ceiling. In grad school, a professor once told me I was too emotional for policy work, said I'd be happier in classrooms, small rooms, small dreams, safe. I used to believe him. The room felt quiet, almost hollow, like a theater after the audience had left, and you're still backstage, waiting to be told you did okay. Then my phone lit up again. Jordan Vega. "I'm interning with someone who actually funds teachers. Want to talk?" I read it twice, then once more. I didn't respond right away. I just let the words hang in the air a while, something bright floating in the quiet. Jordan didn't just offer me hope, she offered me a stage. That afternoon, I sat in a worn-out chair at the old Bridgeport Middle School, looking around a classroom that had seen better days long before I was born. Peeling paint on the walls, cracked linoleum floors, and not a single music note to be heard. No instruments, no sheet music, no music room to call home. I remembered telling Elijah once, "Music is power. It makes people see what they ignored." He'd barely looked up from tuning his violin, but I saw the spark in his eyes even then. That day, Jordan came with a proposition. She was more than just a former student. Now she was an intern with Vanessa Monroe's Arts Philanthropy Fund. Vanessa was someone who believed in real teachers, not just glossy nonprofits. Jordan said Vanessa wanted to fund grassroots programs like mine. I pitched a 6-week pilot program. It was ambitious for what little funding we had, but it was a start. Vanessa agreed. Barely. But that was enough. I borrowed instruments from friends, scoured the city for volunteers, and committed to twice-weekly trips across the city to run rehearsals in this forgotten school. The first week was chaos. Kids were restless. Some didn't listen, and one threw a recorder straight across the room. My patience wore thin. I questioned everything. I was close to walking away, but the faces in the room kept me rooted. Week 2 brought a quiet miracle. Elijah came in clutching a battered ukulele, strings missing and wood chipped. He didn't say much. I took out some masking tape from my bag and carefully fixed it. His eyes lit up like I'd handed him a treasure. By the 3rd week, something shifted. Elijah, usually silent, stood before the class. Without a baton or a music stand, he raised his hands, leading his peers through a rhythm he'd composed himself. Jordan was there, filming every moment. The room hummed with an energy that felt alive, unpredictable and beautiful. That night, Jordan posted a 60-second clip of Elijah conducting Raw and Honest to social media. I didn't expect much. By midnight, the views had soared past 40,000. I stared at the screen and whispered to myself, maybe this time they'll really see. I wasn't even watching when the numbers passed 100,000. My phone buzzed constantly, but I had my head buried in lesson plans and emails, still skeptical that anything could really change. Jordan's little video, just 60 seconds of Elijah conducting his classmates, had started as a simple way to share a proud moment. I never imagined it would become this. "You don't have to go viral to matter, but sometimes it helps," I had told Elijah once, trying to soothe his nerves before a small recital. Now those words echoed back to me louder than ever. By late fall 2021, the clip had exploded. 600,000 views in 2 days. Local musicians I admired shared it, calling it authentic and inspiring. Educators reached out, eager to learn more. Even media outlets contacted me for interviews. The small pilot program I'd started in a crumbling school was suddenly a beacon of hope for arts education. Vanessa called me one chilly evening, her voice thick with emotion. "Natalie, we're not doing pilots anymore. We're launching Harmony statewide. The funding is there. The community is ready." My inbox flooded with requests, from parents wanting their kids involved, school districts asking how to replicate the program, even nonprofits hoping to partner. Meanwhile, quietly behind the scenes, Rachel's nonprofit removed a page from their website that had once mentioned the youth music program. I knew the program was never really hers. It had been my work, my students, my late nights. But the public eye was starting to see the truth. Elijah received a donated violin from a local music store. When his mother saw him on the evening news playing with his classmates, tears streamed down her face. I could hear the pride in Elijah's voice when he called me afterward. Harmony was born, not with a bang, but with a gentle crescendo. An honest song finally heard. Then came the email. Subject: Proposal to collaborate. Carter Family Foundation. Attached was a calendar invite for a meeting from my parents. I stared at the screen, heart pounding. They came without warning. A knock at the door early one December morning, just as the sun was spilling pale light across the piles of music sheets scattered on my desk. I opened it to find Mom and Dad, impeccably dressed, clutching a small box of gourmet chocolates and a slim folder. Their smiles were polished, too polished, and didn't quite reach their eyes. Robert stepped forward first. "Natalie," he began, voice even, "you've built something impressive." There was a pause, as if he was searching for the right words. "We'd like to talk about how the Carter Foundation could help. Merge with your Harmony project. Infrastructure, visibility, reach." Evelyn smiled, arms crossed over her tailored coat. "It's an opportunity for all of us to rebuild the family legacy, darling." I listened carefully, letting them lay out their proposal in the office I'd painstakingly transformed from a cramped room into a small hub of hope. Posters made by students decorated the walls, folding chairs lined up for rehearsals, and an old piano stood sentinel in the corner. This was my territory. Their compliments felt rehearsed, transactional. There was no apology for the years of disregard, no acknowledgement of the struggles I'd faced. They spoke as if Harmony was a convenient asset, something to polish their image. Finally, I stood, calm, steady, unshaken. "I'm not your redemption arc," I said quietly. "I'm not the one who needs fixing." They blinked, momentarily caught off guard, but the smiles didn't fade. I continued, "Harmony was built without you. It thrives without you, and I will not be the token success you use to cover up your failures." They exchanged a glance. Then Evelyn's voice softened. "Natalie, we just want to help." I shook my head. "Number this isn't help. It's control. I appreciate the visit, but I'm not interested in selling my work or my story." There was silence, heavy and still. I nodded toward the rehearsal room where a dozen students were warming up. "We have a recital in 10 minutes. You're welcome to stay. But there will be no business talk." They hesitated, then followed me to the small auditorium. They sat quietly in the back, watching the music bring life to a place I had fought to save. At the end, they left without a word. No promises, no contracts signed, just the sound of the last note fading into the night. It wasn't the applause that struck me most, it was the silence right before it, that breathless stillness when the entire auditorium held its breath together. In that quiet, I felt the weight of everything I'd been through and the freedom in finally standing tall. Backstage at the Connecticut State Youth Arts Summit, spring 2023. The hum of tuning instruments and whispered greetings filled the air. Hundreds of students moved around me, some nervously adjusting bows, others quietly humming melodies. I passed walls adorned with posters and photos of the Harmony Project, testaments to the journey we'd taken. Jordan clipped a microphone onto my collar with a practiced hand. Vanessa gave me a warm nod, her eyes shining with pride. I took a deep breath, feeling the energy pulse through the room, and stepped onto the stage. The orchestra began. Elijah's melody, once just a timid rhythm in a dusty classroom, now soared through the auditorium. The music wrapped around the crowd, lifting spirits and filling hearts. Slowly, the audience rose, their applause swelling like waves. I smiled softly, letting the moment wash over me. It wasn't about winning or proving anyone wrong anymore. It was about this: impact, legacy, and the quiet power of music. After the final note faded, a young student hugged me tightly. "Miss Carter," she whispered, "I want to be a teacher too." Her words settled deep within me, a promise and a hope. Later that night, I returned home, exhausted but peaceful. Setting down my baton on the desk, I opened my laptop and updated the Harmony Project's website, now accepting partner schools for fall 2023. No grand speeches, no dramatic endings, just forward motion. Because real harmony starts not in noise, but in the space where we choose to listen. As I set down my baton that evening, the quiet that followed the music felt like the truest applause I could ever receive. Life often teaches us that healing and growth come not from loud victories, but from the patience to listen and the courage to keep playing our own tune. If we learn to care deeply and forgive gently, we open the door to renewed family bonds and personal peace. If this story touched your heart, I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences. Thank you for sharing this journey with me.